Hi, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Healthline 3. I'm Ed Walsh. All right, we live in the South, so what's going to happen? We're going to sweat from time to time, especially during the summer months. But what happens when that sweating becomes excessive? Is there something that can be done about it? Joining us for the next 30 minutes to talk about that and also some other ways that we can look and feel better in 2013 is Dr. McIntyre Bridges from Bridges to Beauty. By the way, we want to invite you to join us in our conversation. If you're watching us at KTBS.com, if you look to the right of where the screen is, there's an information box. Just fill it out and submit it, and we'll be more than happy to get your question answered. Or give us a call. The number to call is 318-219-4569. Dr. Bridges, good to see you.
Good to be here.
Thanks for coming in today.
Enjoy it.
Let's talk a little bit about excessive sweating. Who is impacted by this?
Well, you know, everybody sweats and things, but there's about 3% of the adult population, even child population, who have excessive sweating in the armpit regions just really for no reasons. I mean, they'll have teaspoons, tablespoons worth of sweat pour out within minutes or so. And the ultimate result is embarrassment because they just soak their blouse, you know, they just soak their shirts, and then subsequent, sweating and stuff, they always stain them, so they have to get rid of them.
Get new ones.
Yeah.
Dr. Bridges, we have Elena already calling in this morning. Elena, good afternoon to you. What is your question for Dr. Bridges?
Yes, good morning, Dr. Bridges.
Morning.
I have an unusual, or what I've never heard of or experienced, but I have over the last year. I have excessive sweating in my crotch area. I am a 38-year-old woman. Not able to have kids anymore, but I did that through the Novasure procedure. I do have all my working organs and everything's fine. I have not went through menopause. I sweat on the inside of my legs and up towards my feminine region, and it has a smell to it, just like you would if you didn't put on your deodorant under your underarm. What is this called, and how can I help? I have never used a feminine wash before, and that's what I have tried. I used Dove Sensitive Skin, and I've even tried to use powder down there after I get out of the shower, but these things aren't working, and the best thing that works seems to be the scented powder, just the Johnson's Baby Lavender and Chamomile powder, but it only lasts for about an hour. What would you recommend, and why does this happen?
Well, it's probably one of the same reasons sweating on the armpits, although it's kind of an unusual place to have that much sweating. I mean, I don't hear that as a big complaint more than I do the armpits. But again, I don't know why it would happen at this time in your life when it hadn't happened before. Again, it's probably due to overproduction from the sweat glands. Are you on any particular medications or anything?
Yes, I am. Is this going to be aired?
It is. So, but some medications can probably do that, especially the ones that mimic acetylcholine. I'd have to kind of look at those.
Well, I can tell you this. I have not. I take multivitamins, calcium, Zyrtec, and Flonase, and like I said, I've been sick, so I had to change some medicines. But this happened back when I was just taking those things. So, are any of those items anything that might?
Your Flonase might have an effect on that. I know your Flonase is probably for allergies or stuffy nose and things like that, but you might want to try to back off on it and see if that helps.
Okay, so basically there's really nothing I can do until I figure out what it is, or I saw where you were talking about maybe laser or Botox treatments, but down in that region you don't want to mess up any other kind of nerves either.
Well, the nerve, I mean, the sweat glands are real superficial, so it's not really a nerve issue. Okay. You wouldn't be bothered anything of import down there besides the sweat glands, because you're injecting it subcutaneously, which is right underneath the dermis. Okay. But I would certainly try to weed out some of those. I start with the Flonase first and stuff, and trying to weed down and see if that doesn't correct it, because again, it's a little unusual area to have that sweating, it coming on this late in life would point towards a more physiologic imbalance, which 9 times out of 10 is going to be medications people take.
Okay. The only other thing I thought about is actually putting deodorant down there. Would that be a bad or a not?
It wouldn't be a bad idea. you know, the soaps you use usually be antibacterial if you're having some odor with it and things, because it's one of those things. Other things you can get, it's an acne medication. It's a soap. It has benzoyl peroxide in it because the glands themselves have bacteria, corynebacteria in them. They contribute to the smell that people have. Again, your Flonase, since it's a steroid, it certainly can give an odor as it's metabolized in the sweat glands.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your help.
You're
Elena,
welcome.
thank you for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Dr. Bridges, we have Nell on the line with us. Nell, good afternoon. What is your question for Dr. Bridges?
Excessive sweating in the armpits. I wonder if there's anything available for the sweating of the head.
The head.
In the summertime, when I don't really feel the heat so much, in my body.
Right.
But like water will drip out of my hair.
Well, the thing about it is, most of the heat of our bodies escapes through our head. If you're overheated in the summertime, it's going to do that anyway. Like I say, your skin, it's a barrier to the outside world, but its primary function is to act like a radiator. The heat that we generate and the heat that we get from the sun, it's supposed to sweat, supposed to cool us off, and you have more sweat glands, in the hair regions or in hair-bearing regions and all. It probably sounds like your body's just trying to get rid of a lot of heat.
I've not noticed this before. Maybe 3 years ago it started, but I meant will actually drip from my hair.
Did you start any medications at that time?
No, I don't do any medications at all.
Okay. I don't know exactly what would cause that, other than, again, the issue that your body needs to get rid of excess heat for some reason and is using the head. It's kind of like, if you're snow skiing, you got to cover up your head because that's where most of your heat is lost, and that's, anytime you're trying to get rid of heat, you also sweat too, because that's the mechanism by which we cool ourselves.
I'm aware of that,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Nell, thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Dr. Bridges, we have an online question from Al, which ties it nicely to our topic here. Al says he's suffered from sweaty hands and feet his entire life, has been considering surgery, but he'd rather use this as a last resort. How would Botox or laser treatment be able to help him?
Actually, really, the only one you could use, only one I'd be willing to use would be the Botox. And when you do the Botox, I usually have to do a little nerve block to think, because it's not comfortable to do. Doing the laser underneath there, since the Botox only affects those cells, sweat glands, and things like that have a acetylcholine receptor thing, whereas the rest of the sensation that you have for your hands won't be affected. But if you took a laser right underneath there, my fear would be that it would impede some of their function. So Botox is the best way to go with the hands. Also with the feet, but again, it's you have to kind of do little nerve blocks because it's not very comfortable, as you can imagine.
Okay. But now you could use the laser for the under the arm.
Absolutely.
And what does that do?
Well, you're actually killing the sweat gland. You're running it very, very superficial, in the area where there's hair bearing as well as a sweat gland, because they only go down, half a millimeter or so, and you want to get real close to the surface because that's where the problem's coming from. The studies will show that basically, one treatment at, between 3 and 6 months, you'll get a 95% reduction in the amount of sweat, and that just makes those people who just sweat a lot on the underarms happy.
Because it's not going to do away with it altogether. So there will still be a need for deodorant or antiperspirant.
Yeah, because you have hair follicles underneath there. I mean, hair follicles, that's where you have some of the odor that comes from it. Sweat glands are just there to produce water. So yeah, I still think people need some type of deodorant at least. Yeah.
You were saying earlier that during KTBS-3 News Midday that excessive sweating, it tends to be genetic.
Yeah. In about over 60% of cases, it'll be genetic, especially those that have hands and feet sweating. No one knows why.
Yeah. And their hands are always just clammy.
Yeah. I mean, like some women, they can't wear those high-heeled shoes because they'll sweat and it's kind of slipping around.
Yeah.
It's kind of
That'd be
bizarre.
dangerous.
Yes, yeah.
Some of those heels are pretty high.
Right.
So
yeah.
you don't want that to happen.
Like being on the slide.
What about in terms of the Botox treatment? That's not a cure-all because they have to go back for for constant updates?
Yes, you do. But it's like, other areas where you inject Botox. You do it once, it lasts a certain time. You do it again. It usually extends out over a period of time.
But for the laser treatment under the arms, that tends to be just one treatment.
Just be one
application.
treatment. Yeah. I mean, that's what I haven't seen anywhere would have to do it twice. Again, if you get down to 95% reduction, that's a huge amount for these people.
And as we were talking earlier, insurance companies don't really see this as a medical condition, so this would be something that you'd have to pay for out of your own pocket.
Right. I mean, basically the in the ICD-9 codes and CPT codes and stuff, it's listed as a condition and stuff, but they're unwilling to pay for that.
We'll see what happens down the road. We have Jennifer on the line with us this afternoon. Jennifer, good afternoon to you. What is your question for Dr. Bridges?
Hello, are you asking me?
Yeah, Jennifer, go right ahead.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering about, does that also take care of underarm odor?
It will reduce it by the fact that you're taking care of the sweating. I mean, do you have excessive sweating?
No, actually, it's my daughter. She doesn't really have that much sweating problem. She has bad odor.
How old is your daughter, Jennifer?
Oh, she's in her 40s now, but she's had it since she was a teenager.
Okay.
But every deodorant she uses, everything she's ever had, it just does not work that well.
Well, I mean, the odor really comes from the bacteria that are down in the sweat glands and hair follicles and things. Has you tried any like antibiotics or anything, or maybe a antiseptic cream in those regions for a while to decrease the amount of bacteria?
I don't know.
Yeah. Some foods will make it smell bad too. If you like a bunch of garlic, those, that comes through because it's a sulfur compound. So most sulfur compounds do come out in the sweat glands.
Sulfur compound.
Sulfur kind of compounds. So your garlics, your onions, any of those leek type of vegetables tend to have higher concentrations, and so they tend to not only go for the breath, but they go for the sweat glands also.
Okay, I had heard someone had said something about having your sweat glands removed. Have you heard? Can you tell me about that?
Well, I mean, that's what this procedure will do. I mean, basically it reduces.
Will do.
Yeah, the little laser procedure basically will reduce the population down at least 90% plus. And again, if that's, the smell comes from the sweat glands. You have some oil glands. You have hair follicles, and then the secretions that come from those. You have bacteria there that really like that. It's like a little smorgasbord, and so but the things they give off aren't that pleasant to smell.
Well, the sad part of it is that her daughter and son also have this problem.
Okay. Sounds like something runs in the family too. I mean, we can take a look at it and things and see how much we can do it, and then see how much reduction we have, because it will definitely get rid of the a majority of those sweat glands.
Okay. Well, she lives in Florida, and I saw your program, and I thought, well, I know she's been to the doctor on it on several different occasions, and I don't know that she's been an answer
Sure.
So I'll tell her that if maybe she go to a plastic surgeon, maybe she hadn't been to that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Or when she comes to visit you, she can call Dr. Bridges. Jennifer, thank you so much for the call.
Thank you for your answers. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Jennifer. Thank you. Dr. Bridges, Al followed up with his question dealing with the sweaty palms. We're talking about the Botox. How much Botox would be needed, and just in just generalities, what is he looking at here for a cost for this?
Well, the Botox, again, most people are using like 100 units per hand and things, so that's 2 of those bottles, and each of those are, I think, about, I think they're like $500 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's expensive. I mean, there is another thing, you can actually see it on the web and things, but some dermatologists have it, but it's a system where they'll have a dish of water here, a dish of water to here and things, and then there's an electric current that's plugged in, positive and negative, and you place your hands in it. It's about 12 volts or so. You don't really feel it because it's not salt water, it's regular water. You might get a little tingling, but they'll leave it in there for 20 minutes, okay, and do that, say five times a week. You do that for 4 weeks and stuff. You give yourself a break on the weekends and stuff, and most people, like 70% of them, will get a dramatic reduction in the amount of sweating in their palms and feet. I mean, they'll do it in their hands, for 20 minutes, and then put the feet in it in 20 minutes. But but you know, go on the internet and type in excess sweating in the palms and stuff, and you'll see what comes up. Some people have little homemade kits and stuff. I mean, you don't want to electrocute yourself, but 12 volts is 12 volts, and so it's not. I imagine it's not a big issue. But it's no one exactly knows why that works either. Like, you know, so many things in medicine we don't understand the complete things, but if you can shut down the electrical impulses to the sweat glands and turn them off, that's a great thing.
Okay. Well, Dr. Bridges, we have about 15 minutes left in the show. I want to change things up here a little bit because we are coming to the end of 2012, starting 2013 off, and a lot of people, what do? They make New Year's resolutions. And what is one of the biggest ones?
Yeah.
Lose weight.
Yes. And exercise.
And exercise. Well, yep, but we don't want to do both. We just want to lose weight.
Both of them hurt.
Exactly. Let's talk about Ideal Protein, which is one of the products that you offer there. You've done it.
Yes.
You've been very successful with it. How are your patients liking it?
They're liking it. I mean, basically, they're. I think most people tolerate a diet, although this diet is really tolerable because you actually get to eat some things. I did it. I lost about 40 pounds, but it took about 8 to 10 weeks for me. Okay, men tend to lose a bit quicker than women do. It's one where, you know, you buy these little protein packages. I mean, the concept behind it is you're eating protein with no fats, no carbohydrates for some of these meal replacements. You're not giving your pancreas any stimulus for the insulin to be released. Okay, insulin basically, you know, we always think about sugars and controlling blood sugars. Well, its job is to take any energy molecule, whether it's sugar or fat, okay, that you're not going to use that day, turn it, you know, package both of them up as fat and then store it. You know, and so this is a reasonable protein, low carb, low fat diet and things that tends to spare muscle. Okay, the concept behind sparing muscle is that's the tissue that basically burns most of your fuel throughout the day and night because its mass is bigger. And so, you know, if you don't get enough protein, in other words, if you go on a low protein diet, you know, low carb diet, or do a starvation type diet, your body's smart enough to know that it still needs some protein, so it takes it from your muscle, which is kind of your storage place and stuff. Even though you'd like to have muscle and like to be big and things, your liver needs proteins, your brain needs proteins. Those take precedence over your muscle if push came to shove. And so the Ideal Protein gives you your normal protein. You do get to eat vegetables, a little bit of meat kind of situations. You know, no one loves a first week of a diet.
It's not a walk in the park, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's just
wait, Dr. Bridges, I remember some of your staff saying that you were unbearable that first week. No, I'm joking with you.
Well, yeah, they might have said that a day or two.
but it's your body actually getting acclimated to the new diet.
Yeah, what it's doing is, for most Americans, you know, we get enough carbohydrates every day. Okay, in fact, more than enough. You only have 2 days worth of storage space for those carbohydrates. That's the liver, okay, and that's the muscle and things. Most of us eat more, you know, than we need in a day, and so the liver just packages it up and sends it off as fat. That's why there's no such thing as a low-fat diet. I mean, if you eat, you know, protein diet, carbohydrate diet, we got plenty of carbohydrates stored. Okay, and again, any carbohydrates that's left over is packaged up as fat and put into a fat cell. Okay, so it's a myth to think there's ever a low, you know, fat diet and things, unless you cut out the carbs. Now, what happens is, you know, your body is real smart. Okay, it's not going to make enzymes and proteins that it doesn't use. Okay, you need certain enzymes and proteins that burn carbohydrates, okay, or glucose and things, and you have a pathway that burns fat. Okay, well, if you're eating plenty of carbohydrates, which is kind of the default burning, you know, thing, you know, it's an easy thing to burn for the body. It doesn't have to do a lot of work for it and things. It's not going to build all those proteins to chew up fat, okay, and to turn those into energy. So that bad feeling, okay, or that feeling where you're going, gosh, I'm feeling kind of tired, kind of situation. I'm doing okay, but I'm tired. Is your body converting from a carbohydrate burning facility to a fat burning facility? It has to build all those enzymes. That takes days for it to do that. Okay, and so once that's established, people start to feel better, losing weight and things. You know, you see a result. But the aldehydes and little molecules that come off burning fat actually make the brain feel better. You know, For some reason, they don't have that kind of fogginess. They feel clearer. And so that's that plus the fact that you're losing weight in a rapid way is motivations to stay on it.
Right, right. Are you seeing a success rate in your patients once they start seeing that weight coming off? They stay with the ideal protein?
Yeah, I think in any program there is an attrition rate and things. But in this one, it's only about 5%. 5 to 7% things. All the rest of them stick with it.
Sure.
That first week or so, you got to do some encouragement. You got to say, this is how I spice up things. I use lots of herbs in my foods and things just because I like the spices.
Sure, sure. And also, all the food, I mean, there is an array of food. It's not eating the same thing day in and day out.
Yeah, there's 50 different types. Yeah.
And even then, you're still allowed to have your own protein at night, as much lettuce as you want.
Yes.
You're not just restricted to this particular brand of food.
Right. You can eat the lettuces and all the little green vegetables, except for green beans. One time I mentioned that you can eat, yellow squash. That's not part of the program. Even though, if you look at it, they're both in the squash family. Zucchini and squash is the same. I don't know. I got in trouble for doing that, but it happens sometimes.
What do you recommend that someone does out there if they're looking at the calendar right now and they said, all right, today is the 13th, we're getting close to the start of the new year. Make a consult appointment to come in to go over?
Lots of people are. I mean, especially this last week or so, we had quite a number of people calling in.
All right, and they can get all the food through your office as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's really one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
All right, for people who want to lose the weight quicker or just contour their body, let's talk about Smart Lipo.
Okay, Smart Lipo.
All right, is it too late to get Smart Lipo done in time for that New Year's Eve party if you want to wear something a little bit more daring?
You're getting close. Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of like shipping for Christmas.
Yeah, it's like, like I tell everybody and things, anything I do, it's a calculated trauma. Okay, I just beat up on people for a living. That's what their bodies thinks. And so, taking out that fat and getting the curves and stuff is a trauma. So they're going to have some swelling. So if they did it tomorrow kind of situation, I still think they have a little bit of problems with some of the Christmas holiday things, before Christmas and things, just because, the swelling. I mean, they'll look better, but, there's that swelling that persists for, I don't know, a couple of months maybe and things. Not bad, but just, it slowly goes down. Because the body only saw it as trauma. It was just trying to heal it. It has its own pace.
And with the Smart Lipo, the recovery time is a lot quicker than what you'd have with full-fledged liposuction. Right.
And I've never understood why that's the case and stuff, even though it's really easily observable. In my mind, if you're working on an area of fat, whether you're using a laser, which is what the Smart Lipo is and things, versus a regular Kenya, it's the same area being traumatized and probably the same volume. Why it should hurt less, I don't know. But it certainly does.
In terms of patient success, I mean, once they get it done, the fat cells are gone. The fat is not going to come back to that area, but it can come back to other areas of your body, so you have to be very careful about that. It's not a pass to eat as much as you want once you have it done.
That's true. And things there's one study where they showed that basically women that had it, they gained a little weight and things, they generally got about a half a cup size bigger in their breasts. Which, half the people say that. I don't mind that. But, it really doesn't go back there, even though there are fat cells still there, because you don't want to take them all out because they look like a skin graft, and that doesn't look pretty. So you got to leave some contouring things. But the fat cells there, they can take up fat. So imagine if someone gained 100 pounds, they're going to get some fat there too.
Sure.
But 9 times out of 10, it's more evenly distributed versus the favorite place the body used to like to take it.
We always think of the love handles as a place to get the liposuction, but how many areas of the body can you actually do Smart Lipo?
I've done it all over. I mean, I've done it from the ankles on up.
All on the same day, or do you?
Oh no.
No, you have to. Okay.
No. There's safety issues that go along with any operation and things. And like I tell people, the body doesn't look at fat the same way we look at fat. We look at fat going, gosh, I don't need that. It makes me look bad in my clothes. I can't fit things. Get muffin tops. It's a type of tissue that your body thinks is important. I mean, it thinks it's just as important as a brain cell. Okay. If we knocked out a brain cell, we'd have a functional difference. Your body itself, that part that goes about repairing things, would just see a bunch of dead cells, and its job is to fix it. Okay, same thing with fat. And the body looks at trauma primarily based upon the volume of tissue that you beat up on. Because when you beat up on the volume of tissue, you have fluid shifts from the bloodstream, things like that. That basically, like I tell people, I don't want to end up on 20/20 or 48 hours and things, because you do too much.
Profusely sweating.
Yes, profusely sweating. with that mic in your face, that just wouldn't be a pretty sight. But and so you have to take into account that there's a certain amount of volume you can beat upon and get by with it. Okay, fairly easy and things. Even if it's just taking out fat. I mean, we just think, well, it's just fat. We can take it all out. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, it's not worth it.
Dr. Bridges, a friend of mine who I know, she actually went in and had bariatric surgery, and post-surgery, she had some liposuction done.
Yes.
Do you see that patients doing that?
Yeah, and it's generally a particular type of people. When they lose weight and things, I mean, the main thing about individual stuff is how well that skin holds up when they gain weight and then when they lose weight. Okay, a small percentage of them, I'm saying probably 7%, something along the lines, can have gain much weight, and then when they lose weight, the skin elasticity for some remarkable reason stuck around. Yeah. They don't have stretch marks. They're basically, it's never quite as tight as it was before and things. But those people can have the smart lipo, or smart lipo would be better because it does help tighten the skin, and not have a problem with it just draping. Okay, most of the women I see or men that I see who have lost a bunch of weight, they actually need a skin resection too.
Okay.
Okay, because it's just so much, and I always tell people that when it comes to liposculpting, you're just deflating a balloon. If the balloon's been overblown, okay, it's not going to snap back. Okay, so most of them that have gained a lot of weight, have stretch marks, or skin's just been way big at one point. It's like deflating a paper bag, and then that paper bag just hangs over.
Sure. Okay,
so most of them that I see, not all of them, will require some type of skin resection, okay, to get the contour. Because if you deflate that balloon, yeah, you can do it, but just the balloon's flatter and probably longer.
In terms of the smart lipo, it does form the skin in some cases. Does there become an age in which the skin's elasticity is just gone and it's not going to help?
It's really not age dependent as it is person dependent. And some people have thin skin to begin with and things, and so it's all about how much collagen is there that hasn't been stretched out and things. Or the smart lipo is shown to increase the thickness of skin by about 25%, which is good because when it thickens, it tightens too. Okay, but some people have just really thin skin. Yeah. And I've seen it in people at 30 years old. I've seen it in people in 70-year-old where you expect maybe a 70-year-old to have thinner skin and things, but not a 30-year-old.
Right. Now, do you tend to see your business pick up early in the new year? A lot of people make those New Year's resolutions.
Yes, they do. I mean, actually, it's picked up now. Okay. And it goes
making those plans.
Yeah, it'll go to about the mid portion of January. Kind of drop off a little bit and things, and then start picking up in February again.
Yeah. Best thing to do, make an appointment, go in for a consult. If you want to try something or whatever, Dr. Bridges can easily talk to you through it, the pros, the cons, because as you said, smart lipo, it is a trauma to the body.
Right. Everything I do is.
even coughing on that one.
Yeah.
As well as the ideal protein, because I know people who have used that diet before and they love it because you just have to really watch what you eat. But there's a breakfast cereal, there's a breakfast oatmeal.
Right.
It's not really that bad.
And it's a rapid weight loss.
Yeah.
Even in the past they used to say, well, you don't want to do rapid weight loss things because it's just not healthy. It's healthy.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, why not give it a shot? And also right now, a lot of people are also working on their cafeteria plans with their employer. So put a little bit more money aside if you're thinking of doing a procedure like this, because since it is considered a cosmetic procedure like smart lipo, it's not covered by insurance companies.
That's correct, yeah.
So do all that good stuff. Well, good. Well, Dr. Bridges, hopefully I hope you have a very happy and prosperous 2020 and a Merry Christmas.
Yes, I am.
And you coming back here for much more good information. And remember, as always, if you have any questions or you want to make an appointment, just give a call to Bridges to Beauty. At what number should they reach you at?
It's 318-219-8555.
Okay.
Also, if anybody has any suggestions about other things they want to hear on the program and things, please email me from the website, and I'll be happy to look at those and consider those.
Wonderful. This way here we can expand the topics that we cover in 2013, because I'm sure plastic surgery changes like every other form of medical issues.
Yes, yeah. And some kind of pop up as current things, and if you want me to talk about those, I will. So it's whatever on your mind.
Yeah, we've got about 45 seconds left. What's the big thing for 2013? Is there a big surgery or something new and cutting edge?
There are some things coming out and things that it's one of those situations where I'll actually hold back a little bit
Okay.
and see how much of it is actually fluff and sales pitches, because I've been there, done that before, and bought some expensive things that really didn't pan out. I mean,
Okay.
so far I've been real good at that in the last 10 years, and so it's worked out.